What is going on, Raiders? Soda's Dragon here. Welcome and hope you guys are doing well. So today is all about Ultimate Death Knight. I'm going to give you 3 different teams for stage 25 of the Spider's Den. But I think the first one we're going to talk about is going to be the funnest because it's just a duo. It's just Ultimate Death Knight and some other champ. What other champ? Really any HP burn champ. That is it. You could actually duo stage 25 of the Spider's Den with only Ultimate Death Knight and an AoE HP burner. Now here's 2 pretty cool things about the duo. Firstly, that it's not too gear intensive. Now, I say that kind of like relatively speaking because it is still a stage 25 dungeon and all of them aren't easy. I mean, you can't expect a beginner or even a mid-game player to be able to duo really those end game stages, right? That being said, the gear is not too crazy, okay? As far as what you would expect from either a solo or duo from an end game dungeon. It's really not too crazy. Now, the only other duo I know of that can do stage 25 of the Spider's Den is A-Check and Akoth. And I did a video on this, you guys can check it out, but their gearing is much more intensive. For the Death Knight AoE HP burner, a duo, it's really not that bad, all things considered. Now, yes, you need good gear. There's no way around that. It's an end game dungeon. But you don't need like the top tier gear to do this. And I'll show you what gear I use. And the second cool thing that we're going to make use of in the duo is going to be, we're going to make use of a set that a lot of people don't think is that good. And that is the Frost or Frostbite sets. As far as the Frost sets, I know a lot of you guys, when you get those sets, you insta-sell them. Well, stage 25 of the Spider's Den is a great place to make use of these often neglected sets. Either a Frost set and a Frostbite set, or triple Frostbite. All right, guys, let's take a look at Death Knight's gear, stats, and mastery. So as I mentioned, he is in a Frost and a Frostbite set, though you could use triple Frostbite, and there might be additional benefits to using triple Frostbite over a Frost and a Frostbite set. On to his total stats. So I have his HP at 50,000. I have the attack at 1400. I have the defense at 4500. I have the speed 224. Crit rate 43%, crit damage 109%, resist 342, and accuracy 286. So what stats are most important to our Ultimate Death Knight? Well, firstly, the HP and the defense. Because of his passive, he's going to be our Spiderling tank. Basically, as long as he's alive, these Spiderlings are going to be forced to attack him because of his passive. That passive has no cooldown, no nothing, okay? As long as he's alive, those Spiderlings will attack him. There's no way around it. So we need him to be tanky. We need him to be tough. So HP and defense. Speed is important so he can get off those cooldown skills as often as possible. So that decreased attack, that's really important. Plus those shields, those continuous heals, the more often he casts those, the better for himself. Now, as far as the resistance, what are we looking for stage 25? If you can get over 300 resistance, that would be good to resist those Spiderlings' poisons, or get as high as you can. But that's going to be our target, over 300. As far as the accuracy, we're looking at over 200. So once again, for your tank here, you need over 300 resistance to resist the poisons from the Spiderlings, and over 200 accuracy to get that decreased attack off against the boss, which definitely is a good thing. It mitigates how much damage Ultimate Death Knight is taking. So some of you endgame players might be saying, well, the stats aren't that bad for a duo for stage 25 of the Spider's Den. That's not easy. And these stats are not that crazy. And yeah, that's true. They're not that crazy, all things considered. But some of you early to mid-game players might be saying, well, wait a second. These stats seem kind of high. I don't know if I can get there. Firstly, if you're early to mid-game, don't worry about doing stage 25. You don't need to do stage 25 of the Spider's Den your first 6 months into playing this game. Don't worry about it. But secondly, I'm also going to show you a trio that you can use. And in this trio, Ultimate Death Knight stats do not need to be as high at all. Plus, I'm going to show you a full team of 5. And in that case, Ultimate Death Knight stats do not need to be that high. So once again, this is only that high because this is his duo stats. When we talk about the trio or the full team of 5, his stats do not need to be this high. So guys, as far as the books and the blessings, I don't have any blessings on him, but as far as the books, if you plan to duo stage 25, then I would highly recommend you use enough books as you have to book out the A2 here and the A3, especially the A3 here, to get the reduced cooldown. Get that to a nice 3-turn cooldown, that 2-turn shield and the 2-turn continuous heal. So definitely you want the lowest cooldown on this as possible. But if you plan to use them in let's say the trio or the full team of 5, then no, I don't necessarily think you have to book them out. But once again, if you're planning to duo with them and let's say bring in 3 food champs, then yes, I would definitely recommend booking out your Ultimate Death Knight, at least having, as I mentioned, the A2 and the A3 both booked out. Now guys, as far as masteries, we did go all the way down the defense tree to get Fearsome Presence here to increase the chance of freeze from our frost sets or frostbite sets. Now, the way I think it works is it works on a per set basis. So we get a 20% chance to freeze from the frost set. So here we're getting an extra 5%, that's gonna be 25%. Now I have a 10% chance to freeze from the frostbite sets. So here we also get a 5% chance. So instead of a total of a 30% chance to freeze our attackers with the combined frost and frostbite sets, because of Fearsome Presence, we get a total of 40% chance to freeze. That's the way I think it works. I think it works on a per set basis. That's why I mentioned if you won triple frostbite sets, in total, you could have 45% chance to freeze an attacker when they attack. I mean, that's a lot, an extra 5% more than the frost and frostbite. But guys, let me know in the comments. Some of you guys might know exactly, how this works, data mined and everything, but I think it works on a per set basis, meaning the more sets you have, the better. And so triple frostbite, I think, is going to be better than your frost and frostbite sets. That being said, I think it's good in general for this particular comp because we're really relying on the freezes, not only to speed up the comp, but also to make sure those spiderlings don't attack too much. I mean, Ultimate Death Knight's tough, but he's not like invincible. Even with that decreased attack on the main boss and over all the spiderlings, all those attacks hurt. All right, so yes, we definitely want to freeze those spiderlings as often as possible. Now down the support tree, here we do have lasting gifts. This is really important for that shield and that continuous heal to potentially increase the duration by 1 turn. And here for the decreased attack, we want to have Master Hexer. So instead of an AoE decreased attack for 2 turns, we have it potentially for 3 turns. Once again, real important because especially with the spiderlings, Ultimate Death Knight here is going to be tanking all of their hits. So if they have decreased attack, all the better for taking less damage. Next up, guys, got our AoE HP burner, and it can really be anybody. Now I picked Akoth here because he's free and everyone can get him through the normal Doom Tower, but anybody will work. Any AoE HP burner will work. One good thing about Akoth is his AoE HP burn is on an unbooked 3-turn cooldown. For a lot of AoE HP burn champs, booked, they might be on a 3-turn cooldown. This guy, unbooked 3-turn cooldown, really nice. So basically, if you're using him for his AoE HP burn, you really don't have to book him. So that's a really nice thing. Now the gear, it really doesn't matter as far as your AoE HP burner's gear. So you might have thought the stats for Ultimate Death Knight were kind of up there a little bit, and they have to be, right? Because he's tanking all the hits of the spiderlings, and he's tanking those AoE hits as well. So he's taking a lot of damage, so he kind of has to be a little tanky. But here's the thing, your AoE HP burner, he really doesn't have to have great gear at all. Now he does need to tank the AoE of the main spider, okay? He does need to be able to tank that. But beyond that, he's going to be healed because of those continuous heals. He's going to get that shield as well from Ultimate Death Knight. And you just need basically the speed to land those HP burns often. And you're going to need the accuracy. That is pretty much it. And just a little bit of tankiness. Honestly, you'll see it really doesn't matter. The gear I have on this guy is just leftover, okay? So don't make your AoE HP burner too slow or else they won't be able to get their burn off often enough. And get the accuracy up there. Remember, we're looking at over 200 accuracy, but that is pretty much it. Just a little bit of tankiness, just a little bit of HP, a little bit of defense, and you're good to go because you will see Ultimate Death Knight will take 90% of the damage. All this guy has to outlast is that AoE from that main spider. Plus he's getting healed and he's getting shields from Ultimate Death Knight. Now this guy can make his own shields too. That helps, but that is not required, okay? Your HP burn doesn't have to be Akoth at all right? So basically, once again, for your AoE HP burner, just enough speed, just enough accuracy, and a little bit of HP and defense. So just in case you guys are really interested, I do have my Akoth in speed, perception, and resilience. And as far as his total stats, remember, they really don't have to be that high, but I have his HP at 47,000, I have the attack at 1,700, I have the defense 3,500, speed 234, crit rate 43%, crit damage 103%, resist 150, and accuracy 340. So guys, for the duo, you probably can cut these HP and defense numbers in half, and it would probably still work just fine. Now, if you plan to use your HP burner and the trio, then you definitely could cut the HP and defense in half and it would work. And if you plan to use him for the full team of 5, then you don't need any HP or defense. So as far as which masteries are important, well, for my particular build, down to support tree, I think Master Hexer is important to increase the potential duration of that HP burn. His AoE HP burn is on a 2-turn duration on a 3-turn cooldown. And here we can potentially extend the duration 1 more turn. So for some spiderlings, they're gonna have a 3-turn HP burn on a 3-turn cooldown. So that's really nice. So definitely a good choice for really any HP burner, I would think. And go Eagle Eye if you need the increased accuracy. So guys, as far as skill instructions for your Akoth, make his Pyroclasm here the first priority, because for some reason it's not. He's going to use his Pyretic Release first, which is not good. We want him to prioritize his HP burn. So make that the first priority. You can leave on the Pyretic Release. That extra shield helps Ultimate Death Knight as well. And for Ultimate Death Knight, everything is default. You don't have to change them up at all. So guys, this run is completely full auto. And as far as how long does the run take, well, the fastest I've seen this run finish is under 3 minutes. The slowest over 4 minutes. So somewhere between 3 to 4 minutes. It really depends on how many freezes Ultimate Death Knight procs. The more freezes you get, the more spiderlings don't take their turns, and the faster the run goes. When you get a lot of freezes off, the run goes really, really fast because those spiderlings don't do anything. There's no animations at all. So as I mentioned, this is a completely full auto run. Bring in your 3 food champs and level them up at the same time as you're grinding for your gear or get those extra champ chase points, but you just click start and you are good to go. Alright guys, so what about a trio? Well, there is one more champ we can add to this bunch to really speed up the run and greatly reduce the gearing requirements for Ultimate Death Knight. And really that's true of any solo, duo, trio. Any more champions you add, it usually decreases the gearing requirements of whoever's on the team. So this one more champ we're going to add is really going to make the gearing not that bad. And who is this? It's going to be Syl of the Drakes, a free champ. And really we're using him for AoE stun. So that AoE stun is huge because it does the same thing as a freeze. It basically means that Ultimate Death Knight is not getting hit by the spiderlings and the spiderlings animations are not happening. Okay? They're just being passed over. They're burning up from those HP burns and their turn is just being passed over. So get the AoE stuns from Syl the Drakes here, plus we get the decreased speed, and we also get decreased turn meter from Syl's A1. So both things are really good. She doesn't really ever have to pick anyone up, at least with the gear we have here. And once again, the Ultimate Death Knight in particular, his gear does not have to be as intense when you have Syl of the Drakes here. So this is a great trio right here. Stage 25, look at all these champs. Any AoE HP burner, Ultimate Death Knight free, Syl the Drakes free. I mean, come on, a stage 25 dungeon, that is pretty freaking good. So I got the idea for this comp from my boy Techno Viking 23. Now he does use another HP burner in his trio, but as I mentioned, the HP burner is interchangeable as long as they're an AoE HP burner. But definitely check out his channel. I'll leave a link in the pinned comment below. He comes up with a lot of cool comps. Now as far as Syl of the Drake's gear, since I wanted to maximize her stunnage potential, yeah, I think that's the word. We're gonna go with, yes, that's a word. I decided to go with a stun set and a perception set on Syl. Onto her total stats. So I have her HP at 55,000. I have the attack at 2,000, defense 4,100, speed 210, crit rate 32%, crit damage 107%, resist 245, and accuracy 253. So what stats are important? Well, firstly, the HP and the defense, but not a ton. Remember, we only need Syl to tank the main spider's AoE. Those single target attacks from the spiderlings will never hit Syl as long as Ultimate Death Knight's alive. All the single target attacks go to Ultimate Death Knight as long as Ultimate Death Knight is alive. So not too much HP and defense. You could probably half this or even less, but we do need speed because Syl does need to take her turns in order to heal people, to potentially pick them up, right? And also to get off that AoE stun as often as possible. So definitely speed is important. A slow Syl is kind of useless. She's not going to be healing enough and not going to be getting off that AoE stun often enough. Now we do need the accuracy. So remember, we're talking about over 200 for stage 25 of the Spider's Den. We don't need any resistance because she's not going to be hit by any of the Spiralings. We don't need to worry about resisting poisons or anything like that. Just needs a little bit of accuracy, just enough, over 200. The right speed, I would definitely go over 200 for her speed, and just a little bit of HP and defense, and that is not a lot. On to her masteries. So down the defense tree here, we have gone with Fearsome Presence. This is not only to increase the chance of landing Scylla Drake's stun from her AoE stun, but also from the set itself. So we're getting a double benefit from Fearsome Presence for our Scylla the Drake's stun build. Now down the support tree, we do also have Sniper here. This is to increase the chance of landing debuffs, but this does not include the stun. Then why do we have this? For that decreased speed on her A1. Really nice for landing that against the boss to slow down that main big spider. And also we have Master Hexer here for potentially increasing the duration, not of the stuns, we can't do that, but of that decreased speed debuff. Once again, the slower the main spider goes, the better. Onto skill instructions. So for Akoth here, if you're using him, turn Pyroclasm to the first priority. For Ultimate Death Knight, you can keep him as default. And Scylla Drake's, it's up to you guys. If you want to turn off Phoenix Right, if you're using food champions, you can. It's up to you. I don't think it matters whether or not you have it on or off, but if this ends up hurting Scylla of the Drakes too much, she's robbing a champion, and the champion has that ally protection and is taking that AoE, and she's taking too much damage because of it. Yes, you can turn off this A3 here, but that being said, it's probably fine even with food champions just to leave everything default for Scylla of the Drakes. All right, guys, on to our last comp of the day, and this is our speed comp, so we can get under a minute with this team with good enough gear, a little bit over a minute if your cold hearts aren't that good, but we're using Ultimate Death Knight, an AoE HP burner, 2 cold hearts, and a renegade. The cool thing about this comp, and in particular renegade, is that she needs nothing from you besides being pulled from a shard. She doesn't need any gear, any masteries, any books, nothing. No ascensions, no levels, no nothing. No, nothing, okay? A completely naked level 1 renegade works just fine. I just used her a few times, that's why she's level 7. But a completely naked, no masteries, no books, unascended, unleveled renegade will work for this comp. So as far as my cold heart, since both of them are geared kind of similarly, I'm just going to show you one of them. So I have her in 2 crit damage sets and 1 perception set. On to her total stats. So I have her HP at 29,000, I have the attack at 4,600, I have the defense at 1,500, speed 152, crit rate 71%, crit damage 285%, resist 120, and accuracy 257. So what stats are important for our cold hearts? Well, firstly, the HP and defense are completely not important because they will not be taking any hits whatsoever. Now the attack is important because her damage is based off, at least for the A3, attack and enemy max HP, but it scales more highly off enemy max HP than attack. So if you can add in the attack, that's fine, especially since you don't need them to be tanky. But if you can't, if that attack number is a little on the low side, that's fine, because in particular her A3, which we're really focusing on, scales more off enemy max HP than attack. So put in as much attack as you can, but don't worry about it too much. Now the speed, we do want over 150 because that's the speed of the spiderlings. So we definitely want to go before the spiderlings, but there's a wide range. Basically anything above 150. So that's going to be your speed range. Now as far as crit rates, over 70%, that's our goal because the A3 automatically within it has an increased chance to land. So it automatically includes a 30% crit rate buff, kind of like in the skill itself. So you don't need over 70% crit rate if you really plan to use it just in particular for that A3, which we are. Now the crit damage, yes, you do need that high. So we do need the crit damage for a lot of damage for the skill. I mentioned it doesn't scale highly off attack, but of course it does off crit damage. Okay, so definitely build up your crit damage on your cold heart. Now we do need the accuracy as well because we need that turn meter reduction. We absolutely need it. We're not just using cold hearts for their damage. We need that turn meter reduction from the A3 against that main spider. So definitely we're looking at over 200 accuracy. So as far as books for this particular comp for your cold hearts, yes, you're going to need to have this A3 fully booked out. So use as many books as you need to fully book out this skill. Onto our masteries. So the most important one here is going to be down the offense tree here, and it's going to be War Master. So we're getting bonus damage based off enemy max HP, plus we're getting enemy max HP damage from her A3 itself. So we can almost get like a double enemy max HP damage when you pick War Master. Now, this doesn't proc all the time, but when it does, I mean, it's nice to get that extra damage. And that's pretty much it. Now, you can go these masteries here for extra accuracy down the support tree, but really what we want is that tier 6 mastery, War Master. Now, guys, as far as Renegade, as I mentioned, she doesn't need anything from you except to be pulled from that void chart. That is literally it. Notice she doesn't have any gear. She doesn't have any accessories. All her skills are completely unbooked. No books used, no masteries, no ascensions on her, no rank ups. She does have a few levels, but that's just because I used her a few times in the Spider's Den. But that is it. You don't need anything on your Renegade, completely naked. Onto the skill instructions. So for Akoth the Seared here, we're going to change it up a little bit from our duo and our trio. So we're actually going to turn off the A3 here, his shield, because we don't need it. So he should use the A2 here, Pyroclasm, when it's available. Now for Ultimate Death Knight, he's just going to be default like usual. He knows what to do. Trust Ultimate Death Knight. So for both our Cold Hearts, the A3 here is going to be the first priority, and we're going to turn off the A2s. So for both of them, it's going to be exactly the same. Now for our Renegade, all we want to do is put Sacrificial Ritual as the opener, and that is it for her. All right, guys, so this is a completely full auto run, and we're looking at about a minute runtime, which is really good for Spider 25, considering the only Lego on this team is one you get by literally just logging in. Pretty freaking good if you ask me, but if your Cold Hearts hit pretty hard, less than a minute. If they don't, a little bit over a minute. But in any case, about a minute to complete this run. Alright guys, that is going to be it for our Spider 25 teams featuring Ultimate Death Knight. So if this video has been helpful to you, make sure to like and subscribe. It's free to you, it helps me out a ton, and it ensures that you won't be missing out on any future content. So thanks for watching, stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.